So I have been officially wearing wigs for over a year and a half now. I can't believe it. Like full time, every single day I've been popping a wig on my head, and I get so many questions about wearing wigs full time. So today I decided to sit down with you guys and record a video all about my wig wearing journey, why I wear wigs full time, my favourite types of wigs and what I look for, and how I make it look more natural. So for those of you who are new here, hello, I am Catherine and I have been on a hair journey, let me tell you, for the last year and a half. For those of you who don't know, I had a gastric bypass about 3 years ago now, and as a result of my gastric bypass I ended up losing a lot of my hair, which is quite common after a major surgery. But I also had other issues hormonally that I think didn't help as well. So I do have borderline hypothyroidism, so I struggle with my thyroid, and I also have suspected PCOS. All of those combined is a recipe for disaster, and my hair ended up looking like Gollum's butthole. I actually have always had a fringe, and I noticed my hair loss started to happen. It started to snap off further and further and further, to the point where I could pretty much no longer hide my hair loss. Because I have a fringe, it was so painfully obvious, and it was so short as well. And I actually had a couple of comments, not only on YouTube but in real life, oh, like a cool edgy fringe, and I was like, I'm not trying to be cool or edgy with this fringe, it's just falling out. I still struggle with hair loss now, so I'll get into the shower, I'll wash my hair, and so much hair will just come out, and I'm like, how is there more hair coming out when there's barely any hair on my head? I started actually noticing a thinning of my own hair in my mid to early 20s when my hormones started kicking in, and I kind of went through stages of losing hair and it thinning and then it getting thicker again, and now I'm just at this stage where it's just really thin and rubbish, to be honest. And I think a lot of it now is actually to do with hormones. I did get diagnosed with low iron, so I ended up going on iron and everything, and I do think my hair is in much better condition now than it was. However, my hair is now curly. I always had kind of wavy-ish hair, and I don't even know if it's curly. It's just like this frizzy bomb when I go into the shower, and I have these little tiny ringlets at the end of my hair. I've always had quite wavy hair anyway, but this now is just this frizzy, curly, thin mess, to be honest, and I have no clue how to style it. I used to straighten my hair like crazy and attach loads of extensions into my hair even prior to losing my hair, so I always had hair extensions. And one thing about me is I've always loved to change up my hairstyle. It actually used to be a running joke when I was younger, because I used to have a different hair colour nearly every other week. I loved it. I had red hair, purple hair, white hair, orange hair. I used to love changing up my look and my hairstyles, and this is why wigs are so cool now, because I can do that without actually damaging my hair. Because I tell you, the amount of damage I must have gave my poor scalp. I remember before, when I tried to bleach when I was a teenager, early 20s, I bleached my hair with 40 volt 3 times in a row, and it touched my scalp because I didn't realise it couldn't, and I could hear crackling, and I gave myself chemical burns. Don't ever do that. And then I spent years trying to repair my scalp and my hair, and that probably didn't help, and just a constant dying. And I haven't been friendly to my hair in my early 20s to teenage years, and now I haven't dyed or touched my hair for over 2 years now, so it's all just my pure raw virgin hair, as they call it. And to be honest, now it has grown back. My fringe has grown back a little bit better, never to what it was before, to be honest. It's still thinner. However, I probably could go back to wearing hair extensions now. And one thing I did do, actually, talking about hair extensions, is I used to wear this halo crown hair extension when my hair started thinning out, because the metal clips, because my hair was so thin, was too heavy and damaging for my hair. So I switched over to this halo wire system, and then I decided to start experimenting with wigs, so I could just not touch my hair at all and really give it a good rest, because I was still putting on this halo. I still had to straighten my hair because I have naturally curly slash frizzy slash wavy hair, whatever it is. So I had to straighten my hair. I also had greasy hair really fast, so I had to wash my hair all the time. I just thought all this constant touching, pulling, tugging wasn't going to help. So I thought, why don't I experiment with wigs for now? To me, wearing wigs is no different to wearing extensions. I don't really know why there's such like a big divide over wearing wigs to wearing extensions, because there's a lot of people I know who wear extensions. In fact, I think half of my friends probably wear hair extensions, and I've always wore hair extensions as well because I love switching up my look and having long hair then short hair, and my hair would never grow super long after my teenage years anyway. It used to be really long and thick, and then I couldn't get it to grow long after that. So to me, I thought, well, then I could try out wig wearing. At first, I have to admit, I was really lacking confidence with wearing wigs, and I found a lot of like wig influencers online and people who wore wigs full time who would share their experience about why they wear wigs, how they wear it, their favourite wig companies. And I actually tried wearing my first wigs years ago before even struggling with this, actually, because I wanted to have like this pastel pink and pastel blue hair, and I ordered it, but it looked too wiggy and I didn't really know what to do. At the time, I was too lacking confidence to like go out with it on my head looking like a wig. Now I do not care if someone can tell I'm wearing a wig. I don't care. I'm wearing a wig. That's it. I am literally wearing a wig. I literally don't care. I am wearing a wig, so I'm never going to be ashamed or try to hide it if someone asks me. So yeah, I did try then, but I was lacking in confidence, and then I decided to give it another go. And I remember the first wig that I ordered was actually one of these cheap ones. I think it was called, from a company called like Esme or something like that, from Amazon. And it had like this fake plastic scalp on it, and it also had a fringe, which I think is important to me, because I think if you want a wig to look natural, you want to wear it in the style you would wear your hair naturally anyway. So all of my wigs, you will see all of them have a fringe, all of them have feathering around the face, because I actually cut it into that style because that's how my natural hairstyle would be if I wore extensions. So I found this wig and it was really nice. It was this beautiful caramelly colour. I think if you're starting out with wigs, it is best to try cheaper synthetic wigs like this. There's so many amazing wigs actually that are super affordable if you just want to test the waters before moving on to human hair wigs. So I bought this wig, I put it on, and my confidence was like through the roof. I was like, holy moly, I could never in a million years make my natural hair look this good. Even with the best extensions in the world, the best stylist in the world, I would never have the volume to have this beautiful hair. But it was still a bit nerve-wracking, to be honest. I remember it being like around about Christmas, New Year time actually, and I wore it, and I think I first wore it on like vlogs or photos. Yeah, actually no, I remember now, it was actually Halloween, because I wore it from a Halloween party. So I wore it from a Halloween party and I took some photos, and then I took some more photos on Instagram, and then when I wore it on my Halloween party, none of my friends knew I was wearing a wig. Like, they thought I just had styled my hair, and they were like, wow, your hair looks amazing, I love how you styled it. And I was like, it's a wig, and they were like, no way is it a wig. And then I decided to test my confidence with it a little bit and maybe pop it out for like one meal. And then I remember on New Year going out and I put it on, and I went out for the whole night with my friends with a wig on. And I remember I actually went out for the first night out with a blonde wig on before, and I hadn't cut in like the fringe bit. So my first experience of a night out was actually with this like blonde curly wig that I'd bought, and to be honest, I didn't wear a wig cap or anything, and it was slipping on my head. And I remember being so embarrassed because I'd go to the toilet and I felt like it was really, really wiggy, and I didn't feel confident, and I felt like it was really slippy as well, because I didn't want to glue it down to like my scalp or anything like that, because I didn't want to damage the hair underneath, because the whole point of me wearing wigs was to try and help my hair to grow, my natural hair. So I went out with that blonde wig, lacked confidence a little bit, and then I decided in New Year to go out with my new caramel wig, and I got so many wonderful comments about my hair and everything that night, and I felt really good. I felt really confident. I took photos, and that was kind of the beginning of me starting to wear wigs. And then I started to wear that specific wig on my YouTube channel, going to work every day. I started wearing it, and then I became more and more comfortable with it. And then I decided I wanted to try some other wigs now. I wanted to try some maybe lace ones, some cheaper synthetic ones. So I ordered more and more brown haired wigs, and I actually took these on my cruise to Norway. So on all my Norway vlogs, I'm pretty much wearing a wig throughout the whole process, and this was my first time feeling really confident wearing wigs. In fact, I felt really comfortable wearing it because I'd slowly built up the amount of time that I was wearing it to the point where it became just normal for me to go out the house and wear it, and I absolutely love it. I bought some more synthetic wigs, and then I started looking into lace synthetic or synthetic human hair blend wigs, and I remember buying one off Etsy and it said it was a human hair synthetic blend. To be honest, it could have had 2 strands of human hair on it for all I know, and it would have still been classed as a human hair blend wig. But I actually really liked this wig. It had a lace front, which was different to what I'd had before, like a lace, I think it was called like a 3/4 part, so a big chunk of it was lace. I felt like this looked a lot more natural, and I thought actually this looks better than the plastic scalp, because the problem with the plastic scalp I found in real life is if you looked at my scalp, it looked like a plastic scalp. You could tell it wasn't real. Not that anyone looks that close anyway. And if they were looking that close and judging me, then I probably wouldn't want to be a friend anyway if you were going to judge me for wearing a wig. So, but it did look quite plasticky and it looked too perfect, and I would often pluck a little bit out to make it look a bit more uneven, but it didn't look as natural as the lace scalp ones did. And that then made me realise my preference for more like lace frontal scalp wigs going forward, so I knew what I was looking for. And this is why it was good to experiment with like cheaper wigs first to find out exactly what type of wigs you prefer wearing on your head. After wearing wigs full time for about 2 to 3 months, I actually got the opportunity to work with Rare Gen Hair, and they sent me my first human hair unit. Now I had been eyeing up human hair units because now I was wearing wigs pretty much full time confidently in all my videos. Every day I'd put a wig on it. It became part of my routine. I was looking into human hair wigs now. Now I have to say, human hair wigs versus synthetic wigs, the price difference is astronomical because obviously human hair wigs are much harder to source. Anyway, I got gifted this wig by Rare Gen, and that was a game changer. That wig made me feel so confident. I felt like no one could actually tell that was a wig. My friends couldn't tell it was a wig. Oftentimes when my friends are with me, they forget I'm even wearing wigs, and that was fantastic. That had what was called bleached knots, which means at the scalp bit it's like bleached rather than these black dots, which is normally what happens when you've got like lace. I can't explain it really. That one there is another Rare Gen. It's the same one again. Because I loved that human hair unit so much, I ended up getting an exact one sent again because I wore it so much. I wore it all to Japan. I pretty much wore it for I think about 7 to 8 months, maybe even a year to be honest, consistently wearing this one. I even dyed it. I dyed it a darker colour, and I felt like because it was human hair, it had natural human hair texture. It didn't look perfect as well, which is I think a good thing because no one's hair is perfect. The one thing about synthetic wigs is they do tend to hold the shape and look perfect, and that in turn can make it look a little bit more unnatural. Whereas this one was a human hair wig, so in the rain the waves would drop out, in the heat it would like, you know, go a little bit frizzier. And Rare Gen Hair actually is pretty affordable wig company when you look at their prices compared to other prices. So that's when I fell in love with human hair units. But the thing that I was missing is sometimes I was missing the length of a synthetic wig. So synthetic wigs are obviously much more affordable, and I actually then started branching out into more higher end synthetics, so not your £25 ones off like Amazon, or I know like Shein and Temu and that do wigs like that. I've never bought off them to be honest. It'd be interesting to actually try them out to see what they're like. Obviously getting a 22-inch to 26-inch human hair wig, that would cost thousands of pounds, whereas you can get a really nice quality synthetic wig for the same length for probably like 80 to 150 pounds. So I did go back actually to synthetic wigs in April because I fancied having a darker hair colour. My human hair one had started to fall out at the lace, like because if you imagine if you're brushing your hair naturally would fall out over time. The same thing happens with wigs, and over time they go like bald, and I started to see like baldness in the top of the wig. So I decided to switch it up a little bit, and then I got this big unit here which was from JB Extension, and they are a fantastic wig company actually. I think they're based in China, and I loved that unit so much. I actually got 2 of these, and I would wear one of them daily with plaits that was tied up, and then I would wear this one down when I was out and about, and I wore all of these in Florida. And I will say, when I compare synthetic to human hair, there's pros and cons to both of them. The obvious pros to synthetic is the affordability is fantastic, how light they are. So what people don't realise is synthetic hair is much more lighter than human hair, so the wig feels really light and airy on your head. But some synthetic units that I've bought over time are actually very, very itchy, and I don't know if it's the type of synthetic that those wigs have that make my hair itchy. The benefits of human hair wig is they look really natural. If you're lacking confidence in wearing wigs, this can give you a big confidence boost because you know these are real human hair. I also think these can look a little bulky, to be honest. I did have one wig off Rare Gen, the one out in the Autumn Diaries, and it was too bulky up on top. So there's pros and cons, and obviously human hair is much more expensive as well. So there's pros and cons to both of them. I personally like to switch between the two. But that brings me on into kind of like the styling aspect of it and how I wear my wigs and how I make sure that they stay on my head. So I actually never used to wear a wig grip or anything because I found them really uncomfortable. And I also did try and wear a wig cap before and it just used to slip off my head, and then I had to pin it in place, but then I was putting more pins in my hair that I didn't want to do because I didn't want more tension on my natural hair. And then I found these wig cap things, and these are absolutely brilliant. I've now got about 5 of these in rotation that I put in the wash. Basically I'll wear them for a couple of days and I'll wash them and I'll use a fresh one. And these have this lace front, which means you can lay it on your parting, then you can put your lace front wig on top of that, and then you can see like the scalp bit. And these are absolutely fantastic, and they have them in different skin tone colours as well. And these are made out of like a velvet material at the side and go like a band around the head, and they keep your wig in place so well. I prefer glueless wigs. I don't like gluing down like edges or gluing down any part of the wig, so it's important to me to wear this so I can just have it on and feel confident that I move around. And I have been on roller coasters, I've been to Disney World, I've been all sorts of places with this on, and it's stayed in place. So absolutely fantastic. That's what I wear underneath. Another thing that I like to do is when I'm putting the wig on my head, I will put the band on and I'll tie my hair in 2 plaits, and I'll kind of wrap the plaits around this band. So my plaits now are kind of like around here, actually, underneath that band, and I feel like that looks really flat to my head, because originally what I was doing is putting it in like a plait at the back, one single plait, and I would have a lump at the back of my wig where my kind of hair would be all bunched up, whereas this way is nice and flat and I can keep it really tight to my head with these 2 plaits. And that's the way I have found comfortable wig wearing. And another thing that's super important, like I mentioned earlier, was to cut it into shape. So any wig I now get, and I kind of learnt this from getting my first blonde wig and how it made me feel a little bit more self-conscious on a night out, because I was wearing a wig that I wouldn't ever wear in terms of like how it looked, like the fringe and everything. So whenever I get a unit, I'll put it on my head and I will cut my fringe into place and add feather around my face exactly how I would do with my own hair. I have been cutting my own fringe since I was a teenager, pretty much, because I've always had a fringe. So I now, pretty much all of my wigs have the same hairstyle, which I think is what makes people not realise that I'm actually wearing a wig in the first place, because the style is always the same but the colour will change. It's quite surprising how many comments I've had online about people who've said they didn't know I wore a wig at all. That obviously is what you want. You don't want to obviously look like you're just wearing a wig, but again, I'm not ashamed of wearing it, and it gives me so much confidence, and I get to feel like I can express who I really am through wig wearing. I know that's really strange because it's not technically my hair, but I feel more myself when I'm wearing a wig. Another question I get a lot is it uncomfortable? How do you feel in like the hot summer months? Because I have worn my wigs in Florida. I have to say now, I do not find wigs uncomfortable at all. I actually find hair extensions more uncomfortable than wigs. It feels like I'm wearing a nice cozy hat every day, except it makes my hair look great. I think now, in fact, I've got so used to the wig being on that when the wig is off, my head gets so painfully cold. Honestly, if I go for a walk with Daisy, I have to now wear, especially in the summer, a cap or a hat of some sort, because I'm so used to wearing a wig that I think my like head has become regulated to the temperature of a wig. So when I'm abroad, I do not even really, I don't know, my head doesn't overheat, I don't get hot and sweaty. I did at first though. I have to think I did get itchy, and I think it was because I was thinking about wearing it, because I was new to wearing wigs. I would think about this wig being on my head and I would like itch it, and I would like not be used to it, so I would be really hyper aware of it on my head. Now I don't even think about it, and in fact I feel more myself when I've got a wig on, and I feel comfortable with a wig on, which is so strange. And another amazing benefit of wearing wigs, guys, is how fast it is to get ready on a morning. Wearing a wig literally cuts my time of getting ready down by about 30 minutes. It's amazing, because before, like I say, I used to wear extensions every single day. So even if I was tying my hair up or putting it in plaits, I would wear extensions. I'd have to wash my hair, dry my hair daily, because I have a fringe. That bit used to always go greasy really fast. Then I'd have to straighten it, then I'd have to clip in my extensions. All of that's gone. I literally have my wig stands and whatever wig I'm wearing that month, because what I tend to do is wear the same wig for a long time. I don't switch it up daily. I'll stick with one look for months and then switch it out again if I want to change up my look. I'll have it on the wig stand, it'll be ready, especially if it's synthetic and I don't even need to style it, which is even more amazing because it holds its shape. And I'll literally do my makeup, put my band on and put it on my head, and I'm gone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. And if I was in a really big rush, I could even, if I wanted to style my human hair wig, put curlers in the night before on my wig stand and then pop it all off and just pop it on my head. I don't know if I would go back to not wearing wigs, you know, guys. I genuinely don't think I could go back to clipping in extensions and doing all this and having all the tapes, because I tried tapes in at one point, which is crazy really. I just love how wigs make me feel. I love switching up the colours. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful or insightful or interesting. Let me know if there's any questions you have still for me about wearing wigs, if you still want to know anything that I haven't covered in this video. I'll see you in the next one. Alright then. Thanks so much for watching. I love you.